Hello, everyone. I'm Symone Stanley, and today I'm super excited to be joined by former West Virginia Mountaineer and now incoming sophomore for the Norfolk State University Spartans tennis program, Amber Fuller. Amber, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course.
So, Amber, I have to ask you, when did you know it was time to move on from West Virginia?
Well, I was experiencing a lot of things there that made me realize that it was definitely time to move on. But I knew when I came to the realization that it was time to move on, I made my mind up 100% that I was going to HBCU. I was not going to go to another PWI. I was going to go to HBCU.
And why was that?
I just felt like after experiencing like that big school, I felt like, yes, they can provide maybe bigger gyms, more resources, but I felt like as a whole, I would get more as an HBCU because they would care more about me as a person as well, opposed to what I could do for them, just what I could do for them.
Definitely. I can definitely understand that. So when you were deciding to enter the transfer portal, what was your experience like, first of all, in the transfer portal?
It was good. A lot of coaches reached out immediately, and I was excited. But I wasn't going to waste anyone's time. So, like, the coaches that weren't HBCU, I wasn't contacting back. Like, I was just strictly HBCU. I had to contact. I learned this from being recruited my junior, senior year. I knew I had to contact HBCUs because for some reason, they feel like they don't contact you, especially in tennis, at least. They don't contact you. I guess they feel like you might have your mind made up somewhere else that you wouldn't even consider at HBCU. But I just took it upon myself to go ahead and contact all of them.
So how did you feel about that? Like, because you were a five-star recruit coming out of high school, how did that make you feel that you had to reach out to these programs when there's other programs knocking on your door?
Well, I actually coming out of high school, I didn't plan on going to HBCU. I felt like in the back of my mind, I wanted to go to HBCU, but it was just a lot of pressure of going to a big school. Like it was just to follow the path of what I've been doing my junior career, to take that in the collegiate level, and just they expected me to go to a big school. And so I felt like I couldn't really consider HBCU because it's not the same. And so I didn't start reaching out to coaches until I entered the transfer portal with HBCUs. But when I was being recruited my junior, senior year, no HBCUs reached out except for A&T in Greensboro because that's where I'm from.
Yes, shout out Greensboro. That's where I'm from too. So what other programs, so you're reaching out to these programs. What other programs besides Norfolk State did you reach out to HBCU-wise?
I literally researched HBCUs and went down the list of everyone that had a tennis team. It was Virginia State, Howard, Hampton. Like, I'm naming every HBCU. Morgan State, all of them.
And what was the response like when you're reaching out as such a hot commodity on the tennis scene? You're reaching out to them. What was their reaction like, getting those emails and those phone calls from you?
They were actually, it was very great because when I would reach out, they would be like, oh, we've heard of you. We know who you are. But the thing with the HBCUs is a lot of them have really young teams. It was a lot of freshmen and sophomores. Like Howard had a lot of freshmen and sophomores. Hampton, there was no seniors, so it was like I couldn't consider them because I was looking for a scholarship. And so I had the list got very limited when it was about availability because not a lot of them had a lot of spots.
So,
but yeah.
Why Norfolk State?
Well, I knew Coach Holmes because he was recruiting me from Virginia Tech. And so I had already had a relationship with him. And after coming from the West Virginia environment, it was very important for me to know who my coach was and, not get one thing and, get another. And so already developing that relationship and having that was a big part of me committing to Norfolk.
That's amazing. So have you already visited the campus, visited?
I haven't. I'm supposed to go this Wednesday.
Okay, this Wednesday. So Amber, you're talking about these programs, very young programs. How do you think you'll be able to have an instant impact on Norfolk State's tennis program?
I feel like with being playing at being in the Big 12 and playing at that level and knowing what the competition is and just bringing that energy to the MEAC and just making sure, like, basically just trying to be a leader, because I feel like not everyone has been transferred from the Big 12 to the MEAC, and so I feel like I can incorporate different things. Sorry.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Your experiences being in a larger, more competitive conference coming next,
Yes.
yeah, you'll have different experiences to be able to apply. So let's talk about your freshman year at West Virginia. What part of your game do you think you improved the most your freshman
I
year?
feel like in doubles, because doubles was a really big factor at West Virginia and in college tennis, period, because when you come from junior tennis to college, doubles is completely different. It's a whole nother game. And junior tennis, you can just rally with each other on the baseline. That's not how it is in college. And so I felt like it really helped me be more aggressive at the net and just it helped me move a lot. And so I feel like that also allowed me to incorporate that into my singles game with being more aggressive coming forward and stuff like that.
And what part of your game are you trying to work on the most this upcoming season in Norfolk?
I would say the part I'm trying to work on the most would be probably, I would say, getting into points, not trying to end the point, like trying to hit the winner or trying to drop shot. I feel like just trying to be into the point and not make, I'm stumbling over my words. Okay. I basically mean like getting into the point and not sometimes try to let your opponent beat you and not trying to beat your opponent every single time.
Letting the game come to you.
All right.
Yes. So what are your long-term tennis goals? Because the Olympics are on right now and the tennis is one of my favorite parts of the Olympics. What are your long-term goals when it comes to your tennis career?
My long-term goals, well, one is to get an education. And also, tennis made a big difference in my life. It allowed me to see things I would never see without tennis, experience opportunities I would never do. And so with me, it wouldn't necessarily be going on the pro level, but it would be maybe trying to affect someone else's life. Like I'll volunteer with some kids and help teach them. And I feel like just making that difference, try to be that person for those kids that I had growing up as well.
And growing up in North Carolina, Greensboro specifically, what was the tennis scene like in Greensboro for you growing up and in high school?
Okay, so in Greensboro, I was homeschooled from 6th through 11th grade for tennis at my tennis academy, which it was like the only academy in Greensboro. We had a lot of players from all over. But that's where I started. That's where I finished. Like, I started there, and I've had the same coach since I've started. But it was so much support and, like, so much love here in Greensboro. Like, I was in a news article, and you just get so much love because it's such a small, like, and then tennis is not very diverse. And so the Black community within tennis, like, they just support you so much.
I can definitely see that. Well, that's amazing, Amber. I'm so intrigued by your story because I didn't know that you had to reach out to these schools, and I'm really impressed. Especially when you're knocking on your door and you're like, no, I know where I want to go, even if I have to go call them down.
No, yeah, I'm like, I'm doing what's best for me right now. And I'm like, I want to be with my people. I want to play for my people. Like, that's where I'm at right now. And I was like, I'm going to HBCU, whether I got to email them, text them, call them, send them some film. That's where I'm going.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do now that you're headed to Norfolk State, Amber. We're super excited to continue to follow along your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.